Tips and tricks. Hey, it's Gail from Seattle Coffee Gear, and I'm calling it tips and tricks because I'm going to give you some of our tips and tricks about how to use your Giotto Type V machine that you just purchased. So, first off, water quality is very important. You do not want to use distilled water because the machine won't like it. It won't register that you have any water, and the light's going to blink. So use water that has some minerals in it, but not a lot of minerals, not hard water. You can actually take a gallon of distilled water, and on our website, we have a product that is 2 little vials, and you pour them into the gallon of water. It gives it just the right amount of minerals in the water. So that's key. If you don't have good water, the end result isn't going to taste so good. Warm the machine up for a good 20 minutes before you use it with the portafilter in place. You want everything hot, not just the boiler on the inside. You want that siphoning water that's going to come up through the E61 and heat up the E61 as well as the portafilter to make for the best temperature shots, hence they're going to taste better. If this was cold and it was sapping the temperature out of the water hitting the coffee, bitter or sour, too hot, bitter. So you want the temperature to be right. Play around with the temperature. Speaking of temperature, coffees, different blends like different temperatures. Play around with this and you take it up, take it down, see what tastes best for the blend you're using. And then you might keep a little notebook too that tells you, when I'm using X amount of coffee, it seems to brew best at 201, 202, whatever that temperature is. And there's a conversion chart in your manual telling you how that number down there converts into what the end result is up here. When you're steaming, well, no, let's go back to the grind of the coffee. A decent grinder, very, very important. You can't use pre-ground coffee. You won't get good results. And every grinder has its own personality. So you go down to your local store and you buy some coffee and you grind it at number 3, let's just say, on the grinder. Number 3 on that grinder will be different than number 3 on the next grinder and the next grinder, and the results are going to be all across the board. So get yourself a grinder and dial it in, and you will find the results will be 100% better. Fresh coffee, also, not pre-ground, ground on demand as you need it. Very important. Now let's go to the steaming. When you're steaming, make sure that you open up the steam wand to purge any condensation that's in there before you actually steam your milk, because you don't want that in the milk. You just don't. When you're done, also immediately wipe it off with a nice wet bar rag. Make sure it's good and wet. And when you get done steaming, also open it and purge. That gets any milk that might be up in the steam tip out of there. If you don't do that as it's cooling, it has a chance of siphoning that milk back into the boiler. No good. Your boiler will be ruined and you'll have to have a new boiler, because burnt milk inside a boiler, there's no way to get it out. Keep your machine clean. You know, even on the outside, it's just going to last longer. I just use any kind of window cleaner with a micro rag. There's a micro rag that comes with your machine. Spruce it up. Make sure that you do your back flushing with the back flush disc and tablets once a week. You got to use the tablet. It's not just back flushing with water, because water doesn't attack all the oils and things that are up in here and in the valve, in the release valve. So make sure you use the tablet once a week per the instructions in the manual. Other tips and tricks. Those are the important ones. Keep it clean, the water quality, the grinder, the consistency of the grind, good fresh beans, steam, condensation, purge it, then purge it again when you're done as far as the tips. And your machine is going to like you for a very, very long time. One other tip, if you're using distilled water with no minerals, this is going to blink. Even though the water tank is full, there's a little sensor down in there that actually senses the minerals in the water. There's no minerals, it says, I don't have any water. So make sure it has a little bit of minerals, but not a lot. One other item you want, a couple items. This machine comes with a decent tamper. The plastic tampers don't work very well. If you happen to have gotten a machine with a plastic tamper, don't do it. Get yourself a decent tamper. Make sure that you have some way of measuring 2 ounces of coffee, because when you're dialing in the grinder, you're looking for 2 ounces to dispense within 20 to 30 seconds. And this machine happens to have the timer, but this gives you the volume. Also, a tamping mat for your countertops so that when you are tamping and you put this down on your countertop and tamp, you're not gouging up the countertop. And this is a cheap insurance, really. It's very inexpensive, well worth the money so you don't make a mess of the countertop and, you know, then you got thousands of dollars in the countertop. Thanks a lot for watching, and I hope you enjoyed the video, and subscribe and comments down below. And don't forget to call us if you have questions on the gear that you purchased from us. We're always there to help you. Cheers. Talk to you soon.